This is Mario. And this is Mario. And this too is Mario! Nintendo's Mario can be anybody and anything, and to celebrate the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I'd like to take a look at Mario's designs in every mainline Mario game, as well as his new, Prattified movie look, and share my thoughts about each of the different Marios. I just said the word Mario 9 times. But let's set a couple ground rules. First of all, like I said, I'm only going over the mainline games and the new movie today. In the future, it might be fun to talk about how the character has looked in the spin-offs and cartoons and such, but I want to get this video done before the movie comes out, so I don't have time to sort through the riffraff. Definitely putting that idea in my pocket though. But yeah, only the mainline stuff for this one. No remakes, no spin-offs, no Bob Hoskins. Second of all, I will mainly be focusing on Big Boy Mario, as in Mario after he's absorbed a mushroom. I won't be going over every last power-up or any of the game's unique promo art or anything like that. This isn't gonna get too in-depth with any kind of color theory or fancy 3-syllable words. This is just gonna be one dumb little fella sharing his thoughts about Mario design. Simple as that. Alright, let's begin, and I know I literally just said that we're only going over mainline games, but I do have to make one exception, which is the original 1981 Donkey Kong. Yeah, I can hear the pedants already. I know, this isn't technically Mario, this is Jumpman, but this is the first appearance of what would become Mario, so come on, who cares? But yeah, I gotta say, solid start for the character, especially considering the severe limitations of the hardware. As you may or may not know, Mario's merciless creator Shigeru Miyamoto originally wanted to make a game featuring Popeye and friends, but he couldn't get the rights to use them, so he had to settle on making what would end up being one of the most globally recognized characters of all time instead. Damn. That sucks. But yeah, with that in mind, it's crazy to see so much Mario in this guy right off the bat. The hat, the giant nose, the overalls, and the mustache. All traits designed to make this thing look as distinct as possible with only a few colors. I especially like the fact that his mustache is blue, kinda makes him feel like a Season 1 Simpsons character. Good stuff. But now let's get to the mainline games, starting with Super Mario Bros. For the NES. And I'm not sure if this is controversial, but honestly, I kinda prefer Jumpman over this. Super Mario Bros. Pretty much takes the Donkey Kong protagonist, makes him a bit taller and slimmer even while he's in tiny mode, and gives him duller colors. And I don't know, I do see it as a bit of a downgrade, just doesn't pop as much as the previous one did. Now obviously, this sprite is incredibly iconic, and Nintendo loves milking it for the sake of nostalgia, though they often give him his more recognizable colors in the process. But yeah, not saying this model is bad, it's not, but there was a real charm to the blue, and I don't care if it's because of the hardware limitations or whatever, I just don't love seeing this guy's shirt, boots, and hair all covered in vomit. Moving on. Next is Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario Bros. The Lost Level here in the West. This is just the same Mario as before, but with one key difference. In the Lost Levels, Mario's mustache is... Oh, they're identical. My mistake. On to Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario Bros. USA in Japan. Hey, why couldn't the Lost Levels be called Super Mario Bros. Japan over here? That would have been cool. Oh, whatever, I can get over it because God, what a cool sprite this is. To be clear, I have played very little of this game and I have no nostalgia for it at all, but I really like this design. It might be my favorite 2D version of the character, honestly. It takes everything I liked about Jumpman, and yes, I'm mainly talking about the blue, and modernizes it all a bit, adding details like eyes with whites and pupils. He can finally see clearly. And there's just something so overall appealing about this. Maybe it's how big and adorable the eyes are. Maybe it's the fact that he seems a bit rounder. Maybe it's the blue hair. No, yeah, it's definitely the blue hair that really makes the thing smack in my opinion. This is a good version of Mario, and I only wish that Nintendo would milk the nostalgia out of this sprite as much as they do the previous one. But on to Super Mario Bros. 3, the final NES game we're looking at, and yeah, this is definitely good. I was showing my partner pictures of each design while writing this, and when I got to this one, she said, and I quote, "Cute." And yeah, that's exactly how I'd put it too. Sure, Mario has been robbed of his sclera and his beautiful blue dew, but nonetheless, I just love the black outlines, makes him look more like a cartoon character, and his 3 colors all complement each other nicely. I don't have much else to say about this one. In my opinion, Super Mario Bros. 3 is a near-perfect video game, and this is a near-perfect Mario. I still prefer the Mario Bros. 2 design personally, but this is the better representation of the character, and probably the best 2D design overall. And on the complete opposite end of things, we get to Super Mario Land for the Game Boy. My God! This guy's a freak! I know, hardware limitations, I get it, but I can still dislike the design while understanding why they had to make the choices they made. Anyway, look at this little guy. I just don't trust him. I think he looks pudgy and has an unsettling aura. I don't like how his eyes connect to the top of his head, and I especially don't like all that hair sticking out in the back, combing under your hat, my guy. But while I just don't care for this design, I have real beef with the next one. Yep, if you're keeping score at home, we are on to Super Mario World, and I know what you're thinking. Oh, but Anthony, how can you have beef with Mario's first SNES sprite. It's iconic. And yeah, look, that's all well and good. I recognize the fact that this is a super popular design for the character, but here's my problem with it. I've said this before, but when I was a lad, I spent a lot of time on websites that hosted user-generated content like Newgrounds. And I swear, just about every terrible Newgrounds submission featuring Mario would use the damn Mario World sprite. So when I see this guy, I don't think about the fantastic game he originated from. No, I think about the infinite number of crappy Flash games where Mario had a pistol. I loathe this sprite, but I recognize that that isn't fair at all, so here's a more objective opinion. It is good. Sorry, that's honestly as much praise as I can give this thing. God, I hate it. Anyway, Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. This is pretty much just the damn Mario World sprite in black and white, but the lack of color is enough to trick my brain into seeing it as something totally different, so I do actually like this one. The difference between this sprite and the first Mario Land one is genuinely insane too. It's incredible that both of these originated from the same little system. I'm especially happy to see that handheld Mario got a haircut. So while this one is good, I just respect it more than anything else. But oh yeah, here we go. Super Mario 64, the first 3D Mario game, the game I grew up playing. I like this one. I like it quite a lot, in fact, but come on, this is not a very good Mario. I'm not sure if that's sacrilegious to say, but it's true. His eyes look weird and his entire body needs to be ironed. My man doesn't have a mouth. This is the last title where I really have to underline the fact that this is a consequence of hardware limitations, especially because this game in particular has some great promotional art. And of course, the Mario head that you can decimate in the beginning looks stunning for N64 standards. You can see exactly what they were going for here, and this is definitely an iconic design. I know I'm not the only one who jumped out of my seat when I unlocked this as a costume in Odyssey, but I am definitely glad that they continue to iterate on the character because the next model is a real leap in quality. And that of course is Super Mario Sunshine Mario. Big shocker, I know. I like how Mario looks in my favorite Mario game. Always with the surprises here on DieAntDie. We got our first taste of this beefed up GameCube Mario in Luigi's Mansion, where the guy already looked great. Then in Melee, he looked a little weird again. That game was definitely taking cues from his N64 appearances, which is fine, but Sunshine Mario is on a whole other level. First of all, we have to acknowledge the short sleeves. Mwah! Beautiful! But then in general, this is just a clean version of the character, no pun intended. He's expressive and has a bit of attitude and even eventually gets sunglasses. Mwah! Between the glasses and the sleeves, man! This guy fucks! I can't think of a single thing I dislike about this model. Top tier for sure. Okay, I had to take a minute to breathe, but now we are on to New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS. And this is the game that really solidified Mario's appearance over the next decade, for better or for worse. But mostly for better. This is a clean design, and I think it's the first thing that pops in most of our heads when somebody shouts the word Mario in public. But while this is for sure the definitive Mario in most ways, it also makes talking about these next designs a bit less interesting. From Jumpman to this point, Nintendo was taking big swings with their flagship character, but from here on out, Mario is pretty much Mario, which is fine and makes total sense, but that doesn't make the status quo any less boring. Speaking of which, Super Mario Galaxy might be the best Mario game, and hell, you can make the argument that this is the best video game ever made, and I would at least consider your opinion, while zoning out and thinking about Tetris the whole time. Yet I find this iteration of Mario to be a bit off. In addition to being overall less expressive, which kinda makes sense since the character's moveset was toned back in this game compared to 64 and Sunshine, I think he looks too bright and saturated in this one, which has the secondary effect of highlighting these Wii-era soulless eyes. This is still Mario, and these are very minor nitpicks, but it's the same issue I have with the character's appearance in Brawl, where he's 97% spot on and 3% ugh, but that 3% really stands out as a result. Alright, hold on to your hats everybody, here comes the LULL! New Super Mario Bros. Wii! This is essentially the new Super DS model, but bigger, with more pixels. Super Mario Galaxy 2! It's the same as the first Galaxy. Wow! Super Mario 3D Land! That's certainly Mario! New Super Mario Bros. 2, and also New Super Mario Bros. U, and also Super Mario Run. Yep, that one's technically a mainline game, and Jesus Christ, you get it, these are all essentially the same! Super Mario 3D World, this is... Oh, wait, actually, this one is a little bit different. This isn't too far off from the previous Marios, but everything's been smoothed out and refined to a T here, and he's got a plastic sheen which kind of makes him look like an action figure. I think the changes work for this specific game, but I am glad that Nintendo didn't stick with this look moving forward. Speaking of which... Super Mario Odyssey! Oh yeah! Look, I have my problems with this game. I enjoyed the hell out of it at first, but I feel that it doesn't hold up to repeat playthroughs nearly as well as its predecessors. But one thing is for sure, which is that this is the very best that Mario has ever looked. No other design even comes close. There is so much detail in his hair and his clothes, and he makes an endless number of expressions that are all bouncy and animated. There's a real energy to this model, oozing with charm and happiness. This is Mario, elevated and perfected, and I really can't see them topping this one in future entries. Oh yeah, and Bowser's Fury. I'm pretty sure this is just the 3D World model again, so it's fine, but the shiny toy vibe doesn't work as well here. And that's it! We went over every Mario from every main Mario game. Got a little redundant at the end there, but this was still a lot of fun to work on. But as promised, we do have one last version of the character to talk about today, and that of course is Super Prattio, from the new Illumination Mario Bros. Movie, which will be in theaters tomorrow, or is in theaters now, or is available on Netflix or DVD or whatever else, depending on when you're watching this. First of all, can I just complain for a couple minutes? Look, I'll be honest, I personally have little interest in this movie. The visuals are great and I'm sure it'll be fun, but the trailers just make it look like any other B-tier Illumination flick with some of the most bland and cliche kids movie jokes I've ever heard. Oh look, these cute characters are all fierce and menacing. Ooh, how dramatic. Uh-oh, turns out they're weak and getting their asses kicked? Oh my god, that is so funny!
Adorable!
You shut your goddamn mouth! But that's not my issue. The real bone I have to pick is about the online discourse, which is mainly focused on three things. Chris Pratt voicing Mario, which was obviously a business decision more than a creative one. The beautiful animation, which, yeah, it is beautiful, I agree. And then, all the references to the games. It really feels like that's all that matters to a lot of people. This movie could be 90 straight minutes of Mario and Peach silently walking to Bowser's castle, but as long as we can sometimes spot a blurry Chunky Kong in the background, boom! 10 out of 10, baby! Ooh, the fans are eating good tonight! To be clear, if you're excited for this movie as a whole, including the references, that's totally fine. I'm not talking about that. My problem is when people act like the movie's only priority should be references. I've seen some people arguing that a kids movie based on Mario doesn't have to be funny or well written, because being pretty and stuff with references is good enough. And to that I say, no, I don't agree with that at all. There's nothing wrong with wanting a movie aimed at kids to be written well. That's the bare minimum. And there already are a ton of well-written kids movies that even manage to be funny sometimes. And also, this movie obviously isn't just for dumb little babies. This thing is gonna make billions of dollars, and both Illumination and Nintendo understand that Mario is popular with pretty much all age groups all around the world. Kids being the target audience doesn't mean they're the only audience. And it's so weird that some people will try and defend a movie by explaining that it's okay if it turns out being mediocre. Again, this is all subjective, and like I said, I think this movie will at the very least be fun and also make $1 billion. I hope it exceeds my expectations, and I especially hope that people love it. But god, endless references are not the end-all be-all. They're not a substitute for solid writing or jokes, and I'm not just talking about the Mario movie when I say this. References can really only get you so far, and I just think that the bar for a new Mario movie should be higher than Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
You just got Luigi.
Okay, I'm definitely wrong. This movie's gonna be amazing. Despite that whole little rant, you might be surprised to hear that I love how Mario looks in the movie. I think his design is fantastic even. It leaked on Discord a day before the first trailer dropped, and right away I was like, uh-oh, they made Mario ugly. That's not good. And I still do think that he looks a bit off in still images where you can really see the oddly realistic limbs and teeth contrasting with the bulbous cartoony head. But in motion, it works surprisingly well. It works so well, in fact, that when I went back to all the game versions of the character for this video, those were the ones that looked off to me now, and I haven't watched any of the trailers more than a couple of times. I think given the fact that this movie is going with the old plumbers from Brooklyn backstory, it makes sense to have the character look just a tad more realistic while still keeping things pretty silly in the head and nose regions. It works well in both contexts, next to a woman who's supposed to be from real life New York, I assume, and also next to Donkey Kong. Is this the best 3D Mario? No, I still think that Sunshine and especially Odyssey feature better iterations of the character, but this is definitely high up there, and more than anything, it's just nice seeing a tweaked version of Mario again. And that's it, again. We talked about all the mainline Marios, and I got to complain about the movie discourse. That was my entire checklist for this video. My main takeaway is just how strong of a design Mario has had from the beginning, even before he was Mario. He's always managed to be simple, distinct, and memorable, the kind of character that I doodle in my notebook as a kid along with Homer Simpson and Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But because everybody else is going so gaga over the references, let me end by saying this. The trailers for this movie have featured overt references to 64, Galaxy, 3D World, and Odyssey. But of course, not Sunshine. We haven't seen anything like this for Sunshine yet, and no, a tiny picture of some fruit does not count. Are you kidding me? Really? Does Nintendo seriously hate this game so much that they can't even throw us a bone? What do I have to do, Nintendo? Do I have to get on my knees and beg? Beg like a dog begs for scraps? You bastards. Oh, you bastards. You. Hey, don't fade away from me, you son of a bitch. This isn't over. I'll be back. Oh, you'll see.